So I'm not surprised by Shapiro's apparently sudden shift to the establishment Republican side of things. I'm not surprised by it at all. He just seems like an establishment kind of guy. He seems like the kid in elementary school that always had his shirt tucked in, that had fresh fruit in his backpack, didn't have a Nintendo or anything like that. He seems like that kind of guy. And that's always been uh, the right wing, hasn't it? Been, pulling people out of society and singling themselves out. Uh, and then all of a sudden, here comes Donald Trump, who's a populist. And Trump is a direct threat to Cruz, who is Shapiro's political boyfriend in a lot of ways. Cruz is a champion of the Tea Party in the Obama era. And for Shapiro to change sides and go all the way to go 100% Trump is to abandon the principles that he has been standing on ever since he took over at Breitbart. In a lot of ways, it would be a slap on the face to the establishment that welcomed him in, even though he's an Orthodox Jew, and treated him like he was one of them. Now, Donald Trump started to go after Cruz about 3 months ago and really started to go after him because Cruz is a direct threat to his winning the nomination in the Republican primaries. So Trump is the kind of guy who's going to work really, really hard to get rid of his opponents. And Cruz doesn't happen to be an easy target. He's not like Marco Rubio or like John Kasich, who is literally who. Cruz is the Tea Party hero of the Obama era. And, Donald Trump doesn't have establishment support. He may have the popular support in much the same way that Bernie Sanders has popular support in the Democratic side, but Cruz has all of the correct establishment connections. He's been doing this for, 10 years? And he's been in and out of Congress for that long. His wife sits on the board of Goldman Sachs. He's one of the Tea Party's icons, and the Tea Party has come a long way since the 2008 elections. Or was it 2012? They've come a long way. So to say that Ben Shapiro is white knighting for the Republican establishment is really only seeing half the problem. The Republican establishment has been hijacked by the Tea Party. Now, I'm a libertarian. I support a lot of the ideas of the Tea Party. I'm, a pro-gay marriage, pro-gun, pro-weed libertarian. I eat Doritos and drink Mountain Dew and fish for Bitcoin. Like, I'm that kind of guy, right? And admittedly, the Tea Party, as it exists in American politics, is a shit show. They're completely unrealistic. They're even more radical than the Christian conservatives, who I think do have a bit of a socialist streak in them. But these Tea Party Republicans, the ones these new establishment guys, man, fuck them. Fuck them. They just hijacked the label Tea Party. They're not even real libertarians. They're completely Republicans. They hijacked the libertarian Tea Party movement in order to bring people under the big tent. And Shapiro has never been a libertarian. And it's funny to watch Donald Trump try to appease to the Christian conservative base. He doesn't do it very well. Cruz does it really, really well. And Trump calls him Lion Ted because he picks up that Bible and then he lies. And I think Trump is kind of projecting there. But he's also pointing out to a big problem within the Republican establishment, which is that there are a lot of really crazy, cuckoo evangelical Christians in there, and they're dominionists. They believe in the city on the hill and the greatness of America and American exceptionalism, which happens to be true. We are exceptional. But it does not change the fact that evangelical Christians have been very anti-liberty for a long time. I think that what Cruz was trying to do was to bring libertarians and traditional Christian conservatives together in that one big tent Republican Party. And it didn't work. The libertarian movement fractured at that point. It all split. And so that's where I think the term alt-right comes from, is that it's that split from people who weren't establishment Republicans, that weren't part of the Christian conservative cabal that has been economically and legally terrorizing American citizens since the 1960s and 1970s, and probably even before then. Ted Cruz and the Tea Party establishment in Washington, D.C., who has done literally nothing to help further their cause other than shutting down the government, which I see how that works, but it doesn't work at the same time. Trump comes in and he is immediately threatening the 8 to 12 years of work that has happened within the Tea Party and the Republicans, especially during the Obama era when things were so topsy-turvy. Trump is a direct threat to them because what he threatens to do is not only bring the outliers into his camp, the outliers within the Republican establishment and the libertarians, but he also threatens to bring in these other right-wing elements, which I guess you could call the alt-right, which would be anybody from anarcho-capitalists to libertarians to conservative Democrats, white nationalists, black nationalists, the 1488 crowd, people from Israel, is a lot of Israelis, I guess. He threatens to bring them all under the Trump camp and make America great again, which I think is a big fuck you to the Republican establishment, which has always been saying we're pro-free market, we're pro-liberty, we're pro-limited government, and then what do? They get involved into situations that are not free market, that are pro-big government, and really do threaten the liberty and security of Americans. So of course Shapiro's going to white knight for them. Do you think that he would turn to the people that he has been establishing himself with since he took over Breitbart and spit in their faces just because he wants to be popular and stay in touch with his base? I think not. And so again, this doesn't surprise me. What surprises me is the Michelle Fields stuff that he pulled. That is some true SJW bullshit. I mean, Michelle Fields is like the right wing, the right wing version of Mattress Girl. The whole thing is a clusterfuck. And the first time I ever heard of Michelle Fields was on p.2, out of all places. And p.2, who's Bill Whittle's channel, has recently, well, they didn't outwardly endorse Cruz, but they're saying let's just go with Cruz. I think a lot of their base, their viewership base, is skeptical of Trump or does not like Trump at all, and they want to appease the people that their baseline constituents. They want to appease them first, and just let Milo Yiannopoulos take everybody else. I think that's their Bill Whittle's approach. But back on to Michelle Fields. She started out there, then she moved to what? I think she moved to Breitbart, and it seems like she's one of those that has been trying to work her way into the Republican establishment just as hard as Ben Shapiro has, and that there's this literally unholy alliance between her and Shapiro to not only tarnish the reputation of Breitbart, which is pretty fucked up, but to abandon the people that, like us, like myself and the Critical G, who have come to really respect Shapiro and see him as an intellectual icon, and just completely shit on us and then turn over to the establishment, the very people that I have been angry at since I switched sides in 2008, since I said I'm no longer a Democrat. I can't do this shit no more. So let us dispel with this notion that Ben Shapiro doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's sticking by his guns. He's not going to change sides because it's popular for him to do. He's not going to support Trump because in this flighting moment of this election cycle, here comes this millionaire blowhard speaking truth to power and causing quite a ruckus. He's not going to abandon his principles because of that. And I wouldn't ask anybody in his shoes to do the same. So what that's showing is that, well, Cruz and Rubio are part of this establishment that Trump and, for a larger extent, us, need to fight. Because they're internationalists, which is okay, but they're big picture, one world government internationalists. And that's really bad for business in America. And that really fucks over American citizens. So I'm just going to say, we got a lot of work to do. The only thing that we can hope for at this point is that websites like BuzzFeed and Upworthy start trumpeting conservative causes, traditional conservative Tea Party Republican establishment causes, because that would be great. That would legitimize why Ben Shapiro sent in his letter of resignation to Breitbart via BuzzFeed. That would explain the SJW behavior of Michelle Fields, and that would explain why the Republican establishment is turning its back on an entire demographic of young voters who could very easily become the crowd that the Republicans are looking for to keep them in power for the foreseeable future. And so I don't think there is a right or wrong in this. It is what it is. And Ben Shapiro is doing exactly what he should do.